Welcome to the Extra Point. I'm Max Santa.
I'm Dean Williamson.
I'm Josh Cornatzer.
Alex Martin.
Landon Jordan.
And today we have a special guest, Tanner Vespi, on with us. Who reigns from near Kershaw, South Carolina. So back kind of he's friends with Landon, but he's a Buckeye. So we'll definitely add him to this call and have him today to join us and talk about the SEC West. Last week we did the SEC East, so we're just gonna do the same thing as we did last week, but with the West. So we're just gonna go through each game of each team, and then we're gonna kind of talk about it, see what everybody's got, and come to sort of a consensus as far as each team goes for the West. So without waiting any longer, let's go ahead and start out. And I'm gonna send it to Tanner Vespi, our guest, to start out with the LSU Tigers. Let's hear what you got.
All right, so week 1, LSU's facing off against Florida State. And to me, I have Florida State as a slim favorite in this one, just because they have some experience coming back through, and LSU got their starting quarterback. The receiver room's kind of low, and Florida State's offense it should be more effective this year than it was last year.
You can keep going throughout the games. You can just pick each game and then give a record.
So I have LSU losing their first game to Florida State. Second game, they're facing off against Grambling. Probably gonna walk through more than likely. They'll probably be plus 21 odds on that one. And then they play Mississippi State. They play Mississippi State. I think that's going to be a hard one. I don't know if it's going to be close or not, but I think they might pull that one out within 7 points. So I'm going to give them a win on that one. And then they play Arkansas. Arkansas has a great running back. I've actually talked to the kid before that plays for them, that starts for them at running back. He didn't start playing ball until he was a 10. Fun fact about him, but he's got the size, he's got the ability, and I feel like he'll run through the LSU defense. So I got them losing to Arkansas. At Ole Miss, if Lane Kiffin can figure out the quarterback situation there, and because LSU's defense has not been great on the secondary side, they haven't been able to. They don't have the DBs that I've seen to compete with any receiving core. So as long as if their DBs show up that game, they'll win, but I don't see their DB showing up much this year. So I got them losing to Ole Miss. And then at Missouri is going to be a little tougher because you're on the road. But LSU, I think they got more firepower than Missouri. Missouri just can't pull out the recruits or the transfers that they need to play LSU and actually compete against them. I don't think they have the powerhouse on the offensive side of the ball. They have the defense, but they don't have the offense to compete against LSU. So I got LSU winning that one. Then they play Auburn. I don't feel like Auburn is going to do much this year. I got them probably finishing 8th in the SEC behind some teams that should be pretty good. But against Auburn, I don't think they have much power on offense at all to compete. They ain't got much. Their defense is there on the front side. Linebackers lacking a little bit. They have a good safety. They got mediocre corners. They can keep up with the receivers with speed, but they don't have the skill set to stay with them all the way through. So I got a feeling that I want to say that Auburn does lose that game. LSU pulls out a W there. And then they play Army. Army's going to be a run-heavy team like they always have been. They're not going to pass the ball much. They're going to have a solid run-stop defense, but LSU should be able to pass the ball all over them without a problem. I think they'll throw for probably 400 yards, 5 touchdowns on that game. So I got them winning Auburn. And then at Alabama, that's going to be tough at Alabama. Alabama's coming off of losing more losses than they normally have. And I think Nick Saban's going to have a fire under them kids that are actually going to have them come out on top. So I got Alabama probably winning that game by 4 or 5 touchdowns. I mean, I think it's going to be a massacre at Alabama. And then when they play Florida, Florida's going to be tough because you got the Ohio State transfer there see if he could do anything. He played in the bowl game, did pretty good in the bowl game. But I don't think Florida has the offensive power to compete with LSU's defense. I don't think they got the experience in the offensive side of the ball to be able to do anything. I don't think they have any kind of firepower on that receiver side of the ball to compete. So I got LSU winning against Florida as well. Now, versus Georgia State is that second to last game where all the teams start playing their out-of-conference games. I feel like that's going to be a walkthrough for them. But Georgia State has upset a few SEC teams late in the season. But LSU, they pull in the better recruits. They got more experience, better players. They got one heck of a coach in Brian Kelly. He just can't pull through in certain games. So I got Georgia State losing that game to LSU. And then versus Texas A&M, if Jimbo Fisher can flip it around, and Brian Kelly, he knows how Jimbo Fisher coaches, and he's a coach that came from an independent school to an SEC school, so he's still trying to figure out the schemes and everything is different play styles, different size of the ball. I'm gonna have LSU winning that game against Texas A&M.
Nice. I think there's not much argument from me in these games besides I feel like they'll beat Florida State again. I feel like LSU was pretty good last year. They had a few games where they kind of dropped. They do get Jaden Daniels back after a pretty good year last year for Brian Kelly in his first season at LSU, and they did go 10-4. They had a lot of offensive success, which is credited to that play calling, and the Tigers only had 20% of their plays on 3rd and 4th down, which is really, really good. And then their offense ranked 10th in the country in returning production, but they did lose Keyshawn Booty, I think that's how you say it, or something like that, Booty or something like that, and Jerry Jenkins. But they do return a top 5 rusher, and they also return all the top 5 rushers and a 1,000-yard receiver, Malik Neighbors, who was really good for the Tigers last year. Their defense, however, returns 72nd in returning production, with losses at edge with Ojolari and then Gay, and then not a lot of production coming back, but they should have 2 of the best SEC defenders this year, with Harold Perkins, who everybody knows to be really good, number 40 on the defense, and then Makai Wingo, and then Mason Smith is also coming off an ACL, who is a freshman last year, I believe, so he should be really good too. So I feel like their schedule is kind of favorable for them, especially being in the SEC. It's not too bad. They get Florida State in their non-con as their first game off the rip, and that's going to be a really tough one because Florida State's really good this year, and I think they have a lot riding on them. Florida State returns Jordan Travis, obviously, and there's a lot more experience coming back for them, and everybody's got really high expectations for Florida State, I feel like, this year. But I do think LSU is going to beat them and get revenge from that game last year. And they'll take on Grambling. That'll be an easy win. Mississippi State, I think they'll beat them. And then Arkansas, I also think they should win that game. And then they play at Ole Miss. I think that'll probably be the first game where they kind of stumble a little bit. But I still have them winning that game. And they play Missouri. I've got them winning there. And then Auburn, Hugh Freeze is in his first year there. I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem for the Tigers to win that game at home. They play Army. And then the next biggest game is when they play Alabama, and they play at Alabama. And I think that's where they stumble and slip up and fall and lose. And then they play Georgia State, and I think they'll beat them. And then they play Texas A&M at home, and they'll beat them too. So I think the Florida State game is kind of a toss-up, honestly. Now looking at the schedule, I don't know if I want to give that game to them. I feel like I want to give it to Florida State, especially after last year for them. So I think they'll go 10-2, but they have a really good chance of going 11-1 and winning the West. So we'll see. But I think that's kind of where I stand with LSU, around 10-11-1 range. So Flannan or Alex or Josh, when you want to go?
I basically had the exact same thing as you. That the only game I was really questioning for LSU was that Florida State game at the beginning of the year. I think they'll lose to Alabama. It's at Alabama. If it was at LSU, it might be a little bit different, but I just don't see them winning two straight against Alabama. But I feel like they can beat Florida State. I mean, it's early in the season.
I do too.
And Florida State's got a lot of hype coming into the season, but it's still early for them. So, like, I don't know. I feel like they can beat Florida State at the very beginning. So I think they'll go 11-1. Like, I honestly, like, looking at their schedule, I don't see like any losses in like the mid-season.
It's really not that hard of a schedule for an SEC schedule, so they can really make a push for the playoff this year. Honestly, I mean, they're probably gonna have to play Georgia coming out of the East, so that's gonna be a tough game for the championship, which is gonna be a decider. But
on my end, I can say my end of LSU going to.
Go ahead.
I got them 10-2. I got them losing Alabama, Ole Miss, Florida State, overhyped. Think they can walk away with a game. LSU runs them out the stadium by 17 points, in my opinion.
So you think Ole Miss is going to beat them?
I think Ole Miss is a sleeper team. That's one of them games that some teams, like I'm concerned about Georgia. You think you got a break like that, and I mean they can be hit or miss. I think against LSU they're a hit on that game day. I think LSU loses to Ole Miss and Alabama, and that's my take. I think I got 10-2 LSU.
I agree with Landon. I got 10-2. I think Ole Miss have won 3 of their last 5 games against LSU. So
wow, I didn't know that.
At home. So yeah, they've won 3 of their last 5 against LSU at home. So I think a lot of people would be overlooking that one, and then they're gonna lose to Bama at Alabama. Wow. So yeah, 10-2.
I have them going undefeated.
What?
I think things go their way against Florida State and Bama, and I think outside of those 2 games, they win all the other ones. Those are the only 2 that are toss-up, and I think things just go their way on the road.
So you think that? So you got them in the playoffs?
I have them in the playoffs.
Interesting.
Because Joe Burrow probably showed the Alabama game.
No, stop.
No, I mean honestly, that could very well happen. I think it just depends on what happens with like Alabama's quarterback situation.
And I view that as
Brian Kelly is their coach. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you one thing: Alabama don't lose to the same team twice back-to-back years. I can promise you that.
Oh, I know for a fact.
I don't see them beating Alabama, especially in Tuscaloosa. I just don't see it happening. I mean, they barely got away with it last year.
If they win at Bama, I'll drive off this bridge. I'm about to cross right now next year.
All right, since we're talking about the Tide, let's go ahead and swing it to the Alabama Crimson side here. They lost Bryce Young to the NFL, and they also lost Will Anderson Jr., Jahmyr Gibbs, and Cameron Latu at tight end. They got a lot of questions at quarterback, as we were mentioning earlier. There's a I think it's going to be Jalen Milroe that ultimately ends up playing. And I think that's going to be the shape of the offense for this year. But Ty Simpson and Ty Buckner are kind of in that mix too, Tyler Buckner. And then Ja'Cory Brooks is coming back at receiver. And then Landon's boy, Jermaine Burton, which are some big helps for the Tide. But you can't count them out, obviously. And I think they're going to have a really good defense this upcoming year and kind of return to the old Alabama that we were used to back in the day. A lot of ground and pound, really good defense. They have a lot of 5-star freshmen come in with the number 1 class of 2023 coming in with I think I have 15 5-stars or something crazy. And then 2 straight years of them not being in the playoff makes you want to say that they're going to have a really good year and they're going to make a playoff run because it's not, if Alabama goes 3 years without making the playoff, that's pretty significant to their program. And everybody says, Alabama has a down year, Alabama's going down. They usually rebound. I think this is going to be a telling year to see if that really happens there in Tuscaloosa. But with that being said, I'm going to go run through the schedule. And honestly, they have 3 pretty tough games. Actually, they might have more than that. But they have 3 that I know of they're going to be tough games. 2 of them are kind of variables. But they play Middle Tennessee first game at home. That's going to be easy win. And then they got a really tough test for the second game of the year against Texas. and Quinn Ewers is coming back for revenge. He's going to be playing the whole game, God willing. And I think that the Longhorns are going to take down the Alabama Crimson Tide on September 9th.
Yes.
They might well not even show up to the game. They won't even be close.
No, that game. I'm telling you, dude. I think Texas is gonna beat them, and if they don't beat them, it's gonna be a close game.
45.
It's just
a tied roll.
It was close.
No,
it was close last year, and Ewers got hurt. So I mean, if he's healthy throughout the whole game, and they're going to be starting. It's only the second week of the season with a new quarterback.
Texas is overrated.
So, I mean,
Alabama's tired of hearing about Texas this, Texas that, Arch Manning.
Texas is overrated. Thank you. I actually agree.
They aren't going to be playing Arch
Xavier
Manning.
Worthy and the guy who's the dude from Georgia that transferred.
Oh, he's so.
A.D. Mitchell.
Yeah, A.D. Mitchell's there too. I mean, they got good receivers.
Stetson Bennett.
No. I saw him in that. He was making some pretty good plays in the spring game. I know it's spring game, but they're still playing coverage and stuff. But anyways, I think that the Longhorns are gonna get it done. What do y'all have on that game?
Absolutely.
Texas is one.
No.
Horns
All right, we're split.
Alabama wins.
When I watch
Alabama
What you
wins.
got?
I have Texas winning.
All right, we got four people
But
got
the
the
only
Longhorns.
I have with Texas, if somehow Ty Simpson or Jalen Milroe starting and they're able to throw the ball, from watching the spring game, Texas's DBs were struggling the whole time.
Yeah.
A night game in Tuscaloosa, Texas might as well just save the gas money. No need to even worry about coming.
I think win by 7. Quinn Ewers goes for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Absolutely not. Y'all make sure y'all record and save this podcast, please.
Well, it's gonna be posted everywhere. It's always recorded. So
45-10, Alabama not even close.
I think it's going to be close.
I don't know about all that.
It's going to be close, but Alabama wins.
This is not the same Alabama team. Like, it's going to be different. I'm not saying they're not going to be good because I have them winning out the rest of the schedule, and I think they'll probably make the playoff too. But they have some tough games. Like, they have to play Ole Miss the 4th week of the season. And here's my thing. I think this is the second game of the season. All right, they're having problems at quarterback. They don't really know who's going to be at quarterback. Okay, they literally had to bring in the bum, Tyler Buckner from Notre Dame, who's like, I'm probably a better quarterback than he is. Just not really, but but like, dude, like that's not a quarterback that really typically plays at Alabama. Like they had Bryce Young last year, and the year before they had Mac Jones, who was still a first-round quarterback, even though it's not the prototypical first-rounder that you would think of. But they're high-flying offenses, and now they're bringing in guys like Jalen Milroe, who made games close. Like this is not Bryce Young quarterback anymore, which could also make the defense better because they're playing different style of games tempo-wise. But I still think that week 2. That's a really early game to know you really need to know who your quarterback is. And I think that's what Texas has coming back. They have a guy that was there last year, knows what's going on, has been under Sark for a year, is really talented, and probably going to be a top 5 pick when he comes out. And I think that they're going to take down the Tide in week 2, and those are my reasons for that. And I think that if you think that this game's going to be a blowout, then that means you think that Alabama's got a sustainable quarterback, and I don't think they have that. So that's why I think that I think it's going to be either close or Texas is going to win it close. It's going to be a close game either way, in my opinion, even though it's night game in Tuscaloosa and stuff. But like, I just don't see that game being a blowout either way. But the rest of the games they got Tennessee at home. They're tough games. They do have at home. They have Ole Miss at home. They have Tennessee at home, and they have LSU at home. They do have Texas A&M away, which is going to be a tough game too. I think Texas A&M is going to be better, but I honestly think that Alabama, I feel like I'm giving them a lot, only saying they're going to lose one game because Tennessee's going to be good. A&M, I think is going to be better. Ole Miss is going to be pretty good. You have them beating LSU, and you have them beating Georgia, so obviously they're going to be a pretty good team. And then Tennessee or LSU is going to be a good game too. So like, there's definitely some games they can drop, and that they could honestly, I would not be surprised at all if they go 9-3.
I ain't got to beat Georgia now. I ain't agreed to that one.
No, you said you said that Ole Miss was beating Georgia. That's what you said.
I thought you were talking about Alabama.
No, you have Ole Miss beating. You told me that they're going to beat LSU, and you also told me that they're going to beat Georgia. So that means you have them beating like 2 top 5 teams.
Yeah, I do got Ole Miss beating Georgia, but not Alabama in the SEC championship. No.
What? I'm not talking about that. They play them in the regular season.
Georgia has
Ole Miss, but not Alabama. We done switched to Ole Miss.
No, I'm talking about Alabama. I'm saying they play Ole Miss. And you have you said Ole Miss is beating LSU and they're going to beat Georgia. So I think they're going to be a pretty good team, which is a tough team that Alabama's going to face. I didn't say that Alabama's going to lose to Ole Miss. I just said they're obviously going to be a good team if you say that they're going to beat LSU and Georgia.
Yeah, I got you. I thought you meant you said Alabama. I misunderstood.
Oh no. But
I'll go
I don't know. What do you guys have on the schedule?
I have a controversial loss for Alabama.
Go ahead.
I have them going 11-1, and like I can see them dropping more potentially. Texas. I mean, I think that's going to be a close game. I think Bama wins. I have Alabama losing to Texas A&M. I think that's a game that people are not going to see coming. And every time Alabama plays Texas A&M, it's always close. It don't matter how good or bad each team is. And I have things right here. 3 of Bama's last 5 games in College Station has been decided by a single possession.
Wow.
So those games are always close at College Station. It don't matter. And I don't think A&M could get worse. They have too much talent. I think they're going to be better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I got them losing to A&M, and they could definitely drop more. But I got them going 11-1.
I also have them going 11-1. I think Texas is their only loss, but I also feel like the A&M game is also going to be close. I also look at the Tennessee game, but I go back to what we said about LSU. Like, the teams don't usually beat Alabama twice in a row, especially now that you're going to play at Alabama. So, like, I mean, it was a close game against Tennessee in Knoxville. So, I think going now into Tuscaloosa, I don't think Tennessee will pull it off again. So I feel like Alabama will go 11-1, but I feel like they might go 10-2, dropping either A&M or Tennessee, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I can get behind that loss at College Station. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Like it all comes down to how good that defense is, honestly, and how good the quarterback is on that team. Because, like, I mean, I know they're probably not going to be the same. Obviously, replacing Bryce Young is a huge task, and that's not going to happen. But just something reliable there, and somebody who's not going to turn the ball over for you. So
it'll be like a Mac Jones situation. I mean, Mac Jones didn't come in and stand out. Everybody sit out him trying to fill in Tua.
I mean, no, I wouldn't even say it's Mac Jones. Like
Mac Jones,
these guys, they're totally different. Like Mac Jones has no mobility. Like this is gonna be more of like a, I don't know, more RPO based, more a lot of dual threat ability there with the quarterback. So I think it's gonna be. That's why I think it's gonna be a lot of ground and pound, because I think the guy that's gonna play quarterback isn't gonna be a guy that sits back there and sits in his pocket and throws the ball a lot. So, Josh, what you got? You probably got something crazy like 7-4 or something.
I'm not that crazy. I have them going 9-3.
Oh, that's still kind of crazy.
Okay, but I mean, they lose to Texas. They lose to LSU.
I warned y'all before.
I think they could lose the Iron Bowl.
Oh my gosh! What?
It's in Auburn. It's
For him
in
now, make sure his
Auburn.
mic is muted. Make sure his microphone is muted.
It's in Auburn. I don't know. I think Alabama just gets they get an easy 2 games before that at Kentucky, against Chattanooga. I think LSU could catch them off. I think Auburn could catch them off guard, hand them a loss in the final game.
Oh my, that would be kind of
drugs did you
I don't think
take
that's gonna
before
happen.
What are you? Like, did you smoke marijuana? What?
Hey, if it happens,
Oh,
he's a
If
genius.
it happens, you heard it here first.
No.
Auburn might as well
We did
practice
not
their
hear you,
time
Tracy.
management, not go to the game.
No, that's outrageous.
Alabama might beat them by 50.
If they win.
Yeah, but
They're
if they
not going
lose,
to.
then
We
you
don't have
just
to
look
worry
dumb.
about it.
Vespy, what you got?
For Alabama,
Yeah.
I got them going 11-1. I had them losing to Texas.
Okay.
I just think with Texas receiver room and the way, because Texas' only spot they're weak on defense is their defensive backs. Alabama has quarterback coming in that I've seen that's able to throw the ball.
Yep.
As an interior lineman, the edges, they have the linebackers and the safety that likes to come downhill. I think they'll cover the run game pretty good. And I have Jalen Milroe, if he's starting, having 2 turnovers, 1 for a pick, and 1 putting them in good field position. I'm gonna go 17 points.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think they're gonna lose one game this season. Like, I don't think anybody thinks they're gonna go unscathed throughout the regular season.
I do.
You think they're gonna win all their games?
Yep, and lose to the SEC championship to Georgia, and Georgia's gonna lose first round of the playoffs.
No.
Yep.
Wait, hold up. He said Georgia's losing first round of the playoffs?
Yep.
To State.
Yeah, repeat.
Ohio State.
Ohio State, no, not them. Ohio State's a sellout, washout. Penn State, Notre Dame.
Y'all pissed down y'all's leg the whole game.
That's a whole nother topic for another day. Ohio State.
Landon was calling me. I don't know what's going on, man. I don't even want to watch it no more.
Oh my gosh. All right, well we can pivot to Ole Miss since we kind of talked about them a little bit, and I think we have a lot of differing opinions on them. So last year Ole Miss started out with a resounding 7-0, and then they finished 1-5 in the last 6 games with the 8-win season. Quinshon Judkins comes back as one of the SEC's top rushers last year, and then Jackson Dart comes back too, but he's in a quarterback battle with transfer Spencer Sanders from Oklahoma State. He's kind of been pushing him for the starting job. So there's some questions at quarterback there. I feel like Dart's going to start again this year, though, since he started last year. And then Jonathan Mingo and Malik Heath are gone at receiver. And then they hired Pete Golding from Alabama to help the defense this year because they kind of struggled there. But Ole Miss is one of those teams, like, you can never, like, count them out of a game. But also at the same time, like, I feel like when they play good competition, like, they're not really a team that I feel like they're going to, like, upset somebody. Like, I think they can beat other good teams, but I don't know if they can, like, upset, like, really good teams. So I've got them beating in these first 3 games, Mercer, Tulane, Georgia Tech. Then they go to Alabama, and then they're going to lose that game. And then I think they're going to lose to LSU at home as well. And then they play Arkansas, and then I think they're going to beat Arkansas. And then Auburn, obviously, I think they're going to have a down year. I got them beating Auburn and then Vanderbilt. And then they play Texas A&M at home, which I actually have them beating Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M is going to be really good this year, like compared to last year. But I still think they've got some work to do and some areas to grow in. But I do have them beating Texas A&M, and then I have them losing at Georgia, and then I have them beating Louisiana Monroe, and then I have them finishing off the season with the win in the Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. So I got Ole Miss going 9-3 this year. I feel like it's pretty fair, considering how last year went and what they have returning. If that defense gets better, they can be a lot better. Obviously, Lane Kiffin does well in the portal, and they always get guys that are really good, and probably some guys that we don't really know too well right now coming from smaller schools that's going to start there, and they'll probably make some big differences. They did lose a guy at defensive back, Davidson Igbingson, who went to Ohio State, who's really good. So they lost a few DBs that would really help them this year. But I got the Rebels going 9-3, and I think they'll be a top 25 team next year. But nothing too crazy.
I pretty much had like the exact same thing, except for the Tulane game. I changed
You have
the
them
Tulane
losing.
game.
You have
I
them
have
losing.
them losing to
Interesting.
Oh my
Tulane.
gosh.
Interesting.
Mute his
Listen.
microphone. Mute him.
Listen, Tulane had a good year last year.
They did.
They can
They did.
continue it up. They beat USC in
They
their
beat
bowl
the
game.
Heisman. They beat the Heisman
They
winner,
beat the
man.
Heisman. What's saying they can't beat Jackson Dart? Second week of the season, I have them going 8-4. I have them losing to Alabama, LSU, and Georgia, but I also have them losing to Tulane. I just see it happening.
I got them.
I got them going 9-3.
Okay.
They lose to Bama, lose to Georgia, and then lose to Mississippi State. And I agree.
wow.
I'm gonna agree. I think Tulane has to be an upset watch. I think Ole Miss is
I
still
did
going
too.
to pull it out. But Ole Miss,
Yeah.
I mean, Tulane was incredible last year compared to what they were the year before that. So
Yeah.
I think Ole Miss is going to win. But yeah, lose to Bama, Georgia, and Mississippi State 9-3.
Yeah.
All right, 9-3.
I got them going 10-2.
Oh wow. Who do you have them? Do you have them beating? Who do you have them beating?
I have them losing to Alabama and Georgia.
Okay, you got them beating LSU.
Got them beating LSU, and the reason I say that, I know Jalen Daniels is returning for LSU, and Brian Kelly, he's got that program kind of going in the right direction now. But I mean, it's going to be tough because they'll be played in Oxford, and I want to say the Rebels will be looking for some revenge against LSU this year. And I think they make another statement right there. They win that game, and they go on to Arkansas. And then I'm almost positive I have them going on to beat Auburn. And then I have them going on to beat Vanderbilt. And then I have them beating Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M after last year, they're kind of on the building up side. They're not back where they was before. Yeah. I think they're still trending up because, I mean, they were one of the top teams in the country. Then they went from being one of the biggest question marks team in the country heading into the season last year, going 5-7.
Yeah.
But I think that they will improve, but I don't think they go on the road to beat the Ole Miss. Then they play Georgia. As much as I hate Georgia, I have to say they lose that game to Georgia. And the reason I say that, Georgia will be hosting them, which could be an SEC title elimination game, I think. I think the Rebels will have only one loss at this point, and a win over a two-time defending national champion would surely vault them. I think it would put them into the playoffs, but I don't think Lane Kiffin is ready to play in Athens.
The bad part is, a Georgia fan, I think you will.
I think Kirby Smart and his co-coaches, I think they've been way too dominant these past few years, and I think they're going to reload.
Hold on, get this on record. Make sure it's recording now.
They've been dominant, but let me finish. They've also been lucky too.
Yes.
They've had lucky breaks with players getting injured.
Oh, God. Here we go.
They played Alabama in the national championship game. Alabama lost both of their starting receivers, and there was a total of 7 drop touchdown passes in between. What was the kid's name that ended up? He got kicked off from Alabama and went to Texas. A guy.
A.D. Mitchell.
No, not A.D. Mitchell. He was at Alabama. He played. Well, Ajayi Hall. He was a top recruit. They dropped 7 touchdown passes that would have led to a win, and then they same thing against Ohio State. Receivers went down. Didn't have all our starters there, but I don't. Georgia gets lucky here. I think they just dominate this whole game, and I don't think Ole Miss has ever been a powerhouse team. I have them going 10-2, but these SEC teams aren't as good as they normally been here lately.
Oh.
So I got pretty much the whole SEC is going to be kind of this year for whoever plays. Alabama and Georgia will run it, but I got them losing to Georgia, and then whenever they go on to play ULM. I mean, I think that'll be an easy win. And then when they play Mississippi State, I mean, it's the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss, they actually lost last year at home. It was a shocker, but I think they somehow get some revenge going into this game. So I have them going to losing to Alabama. I have them losing to Georgia, but it's not by much. I think Georgia gets a lucky break late in the game.
I got Ole Miss 9-3. Lose to LSU, Alabama, and Mississippi State.
Let's hear it, Josh.
Oh, yeah, let's get it over.
6-6.
7-5.
I would be shocked if I had him going 8-4. So.
If this year goes like how Josh thinks it's gonna go, this is gonna be a crazy year.
Be one of the greatest seasons of all time.
According to Josh, Wake Forest is going to win the Natty.
Alabama 3-9, the shots in the Natty.
Playing Virginia Tech.
Exactly.
No, that's just impossible.
No, I've got Ole Miss losing to Bama, LSU, Georgia, Auburn, and Texas A&M.
Why? Oh, man.
Auburn's gonna be awful next year, dude.
Hey,
They're gonna
I don't
be
know
so
about
bad.
that. I don't
They're
know.
gonna be so bad. You know what? Let's go ahead and go to Auburn.
Oh,
Yeah,
I will
Go ahead,
gladly
Josh.
do that
Let Josh
schedule.
start with this one.
Please.
Go ahead, Josh.
I warned y'all before this.
10-2, second in the West.
What? No way, Josh. Oh.
It's an easy schedule. It's an easy schedule. First three
Burn this
games.
podcast.
First three
Someone
games.
mute him, please. Someone mute.
Wait. Let me cook.
Oh my gosh.
You're not cooking. You are not cooking.
The grill's
You're just
on.
delusional.
The grill's on.
You're just delusional. Ain't no way.
First three games. Versus UMass. That's an easy win. At Cal. Another easy win. Versus Samford. Easy win. That's three wins right there. You're at Texas A&M. I don't like Texas A&M this year. I think they stay just as bad as they were last year. And I think Jimbo Fisher gets fired.
Oh my God.
So there's a win.
Hold on.
They lose 2 straight against Georgia and LSU. And then they finish the season out. They beat the Mississippi teams. They beat Vanderbilt. They beat Arkansas. They have an easy win against New Mexico State. And I think they steal a win against Alabama. 10-2.
What team is this now?
We're
Auburn.
talking about Auburn. Yeah.
Good Lord. Holy crap.
That's why Tech fans aren't allowed to have opinions.
I'm doing everything off the top of my head. I could have came up with something better than that.
Y'all
I
heard
have them
about
going 5-7.
Hey, y'all heard about
I got
Virginia
5-7.
Tech though? Y'all heard about the Virginia Tech contract, didn't you? They gonna sell the tickets 75% off after a Sandman stops playing. Everybody's gonna leave and go home.
I'll give y'all on them.
Hopefully they're
I gotta
all
go 5-7.
won't be broke so they can play that.
Yeah, I'm going 5-7. I've got them going 6-6.
I have 5-7 as well.
I got losing to A&M, Georgia, LSU, lose to Vanderbilt, and lose to Arkansas, and lose to Bama.
I got them 7-5.
I just don't see it.
I also have them 7-5.
I just don't see anything from Auburn.
I have them beating California, beating Sanford, losing to A&M, losing to Georgia, losing to LSU.
Yeah, I've got them. So I've got them losing to A&M, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, Arkansas, and Bama.
I have the exact same as Alex. I only have them beating Vanderbilt and actually I think Vanderbilt is their only conference win. Yeah. I have.
So like Hugh Freeze is coming in as like a first-year head coach, and like I mean he's been good in the SEC and he was good at Liberty, but like this Auburn program was so bad last year, and like Peyton Thorne transferred from Michigan State and he's decent, but like he's not a guy that's gonna like transform your program in any way, I don't think. And there's gonna be a lot of change with their offense and stuff because of Hugh Freeze. And then they also lost Tank Bigsby, who was really good last year for them, and was probably like the only thing keeping that team from winning any football games. I think they're going to be competitive, and their talent is getting better. But they're still in the early stages of rebuilding, in my opinion.
I think they're going to be good eventually, but I just don't see them building that much in one off season. I just don't see it.
And I think Hugh Freeze is a good hire.
I don't think.
Yeah, he's a good coach.
I don't think Peyton Thorne is going to be who he was because, I mean, at Michigan State he had Jaden Reed,
Mm-hmm.
and he hasn't shown no chemistry with no other receiver.
Yeah,
and it's going into a new scheme, a new different kind of style of football with a new coach. First year head would be kind of tough for him.
Yeah, they run like a RPO style, so it's going to be a lot for those guys to process too. I just think it's going to be a lot for them to. I mean, there's definitely potential. Like Auburn always has decent talent, but I can't see them putting it together this year at all. But obviously, Josh thinks they will.
Auburn's one of them teams, they always play to their competition. I mean, whatever kind of vibes their competition giving off. If you show up and hit them in the mouth, they fold. If you show them that they can hang around in there, they're going to hang around with you.
Yeah. What was their record last year? Does anybody know?
5-7.
Yeah, 5-7. So I got them a game better than last year.
Yeah. I got them going the exact same.
They got whooped by Penn State last year. They beat Missouri.
Whoa.
And fun fact, Auburn did not win a single game away from home.
Mm-hmm.
All 5 of their wins were at home. They went 0-4 away.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Don't worry, they're gonna get a road. Don't worry, they're gonna get a road win this year. They're gonna beat Vanderbilt.
Yeah, they're gonna beat Vanderbilt. Oh no, I got them losing to Vanderbilt. I got them losing.
Do they play North Carolina?
Hey, that's an easy win.
All right, so let's get this one out of the way because I don't think anybody wants to talk about Mississippi State.
No.
But one of y'all can start that.
6 and 6.
6 and 6.
6 and 6.
6 and 6. 6 and 6.
That's pretty generous. I got them going 5-7.
5-7.
Yeah.
Do you have them losing to Kentucky?
I could see it.
I do have them losing to Kentucky.
Yeah.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah. I've got them losing to Ole Miss.
I do not.
A&M, Kentucky, Auburn. Oh, wait, never mind. I haven't beating Auburn. So Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Kentucky, Arkansas, South Carolina, and Alabama, and LSU.
I have them beating. I have them losing to LSU, South Carolina, Alabama, Arkansas, and A&M and Ole Miss. But I think they'll beat Kentucky.
I feel like Mississippi State's one of those teams. Like they're gonna beat one of the top 25 teams. That's just kind of what they do. Will Rogers is coming back, quarterback, but Mike Leach died, so they got to get a new coach, Zach Arnett, who's gonna be starting his first season there. They got a new offensive coordinator, so they're not going to be running the air raid anymore. They're going to be running more of a balanced attack on offense. But their defense was actually pretty good last year. I was surprised to know this. Did you know that they were a top 5 SEC defense last year statistically? I did not know that. So, I mean, there's definitely potential for them to do better than 5-7, but that's just kind of – I feel like their schedule is kind of tough, honestly.
I think their toss-up is going to be South Carolina, I think.
Yeah.
South Carolina is another one of those teams that you punch them in the mouth, they'll fold if you don't, and then you let Shane Beamer get his momentum going. It's kind of hard to stop them.
Yeah.
But that's going to be 2 mediocre teams playing each other. And I have a close win, 30-24, and I think it's going to come down to a turnover from either team at the end. I kind of got it. I don't have them winning. I don't have them losing.
Beamer ball, 10-2 Gamecocks, man. Beamer ball.
Yeah, then you wake up.
No.
Then you wake up.
No. No.
All right, well, let's go. I think this is probably going to be the most interesting one out of all of them, and the most variability in our answers here. So Texas A&M, I can go ahead and start.
We already know Josh has got him going 1-12. So
No.
I got them going 12-0, probably.
8 and 4. 8 and 4.
I haven't
So
got 8 and 4 as well.
Obviously, they were bad last year, and they had the best recruiting class ever going into that season. And I think it wasn't even due to the players. Like, they have really good players. It was literally coaching and their offensive scheme. They're running like an offense from like the 80s. And Jimbo Fisher actually did a good thing this offseason. And, you know, he was humble. He hired Bobby Petrino, who's going to come in and call plays and be offensive play caller. I think it was a really good move. Last year, they had a lot of questions at quarterback. They're starting Hunter King, Connor Wigman, and another dude. I don't even know who it was, but Connor's going to start this year, which is, I think he's good. I think he's the guy. And they've got plenty of talent to compete on the highest level. And their play calling is going to get better, obviously, with Bobby Petrino coaching. And then they lose A-Chain, who was really good last year at running back. I think he's one of the best running backs in the country. And then Amari Daniels is next in line, and he really didn't have that many carries last year. I think he only had like 200 yards rushing. But they always have guys who are talented that come in and play at A&M. So I really think it comes down to coaching there. And then Shamar Stewart is a player who I think we should watch on defense. I think he's going to be really good this coming year. But I have A&M going 8 and 4 as well. I think they're going to beat New Mexico, Miami. That Miami game honestly might be a toss-up. It just depends. Mario Cristobal is going to have a good team there, I think. I think they're going to be better than they were last year. Tyler Van Dyke's coming back quarterback for them, so that game could be a toss-up. But I'll give it A&M. I think they've got way better talent than Miami does, and then nobody really goes to Miami games, so like they don't even really have a home field advantage. And then UL Monroe got them beating them. Auburn's going to be horrific, like we were saying. I got them beating Arkansas on the road as one of the wins. That's like, okay, A&M's actually getting better, and they beat a top 25 team. And then I don't think they've got enough things together to where they're going to be Alabama. So I've got them losing to Alabama, and then the same kind of situation with Tennessee. But I do have them beating South Carolina this year. They lost last year to them, and I think that Texas A&M is gonna beat them this year, and they've got them at home in College Station too, so that's gonna help. They play Ole Miss away. I've got them losing that game. Got them beating Mississippi State, and then they play FCS Avalon Christian, and then I've got them losing to LSU.
I have the exact same schedule.
Yeah, I have 8 and 4. Except I have them losing to Arkansas and beat Bama.
I got
so 8 and 4.
8
and 4.
Going 7 and 5 with back-to-back losses to Arkansas and Alabama. I think Arkansas. A lot of people aren't high on Arkansas, but I think the Razorback. I think they should be ranked in the AP top 25. With A.J. Jefferson back at quarterback and Rocket Sanders, I think he's one of the top SEC running backs right now. But then again, I mean, this game, it never really disappoints anyone.
Yeah.
It always seems to be a thriller, and I don't think it'll be any different with the years to come. But I think they're going back and forth in another classic, and I think Sam Pittman and the Razorbacks hand the Aggies their first loss of their season. And then going to Alabama, schedule it. I mean, it doesn't get any easier after they play Arkansas in the rivalry game for Texas A&M. And I think the thing is going to hurt there. I mean, they're going to be playing Alabama at home, but I think the Tide seems rather beatable because of their quarterback situation. Jalen Milroe and Ty Simpson, I don't think they didn't impress me during the spring game, which made Nick Saban go out and Tyler Buchner. I don't think he's that great of a quarterback, but still, Alabama's Alabama. I don't see Saban losing to them, and I think he pulls off a big win in College Station. I have them losing to Tennessee also. I have them losing to Tennessee. I mean, I know Hendon Hooker is gone, but Joe Milton, he's way better than he was when he was at Michigan. I don't know where he finally showed up and decided to start playing football. But I think Tennessee, they're a tough team to beat at home. And even if the offense is nearly as good as it was last year, the Volunteers, I don't think they have a problem picking up a win over A&M, led by, a first-year starting quarterback, whoever it is. I have them beating South Carolina. I have them losing to Ole Miss. I talked about that whenever we were going through the Ole Miss schedule. I have them beating Mississippi State. Have them obviously winning against the Wildcats, and then against LSU. I think they lose that game. And I think the reason I say that is because, in recent years, Texas A&M, they made it close. And they've made the game pretty mesmerizing games. But I think it's going to be closer than what a lot of people think. But I think LSU still ends up getting the last laugh, and Texas A&M all 7-5 with a losing SEC record for a second straight year. I have them finishing 3-5 in the SEC.
All right, Josh, get it over with.
Yep. 5-7.
Oh boy.
Oh my gosh.
I don't like Texas A&M. I don't think they're gonna have such a quick turnaround with the new coaching. I think they
Doesn't
lose
take
to my
much.
doesn't, but I think they lose to Miami. They lose to Auburn. They lose to Arkansas. They lose to Bama. They lose to South Carolina. They lose to Mississippi State, and they lose to LSU. I don't think they're going to do that good.
More wins I thought you'd give them.
Yeah, I haven't beaten Tennessee and Ole Miss.
But you have them beating Tennessee?
Yeah, I think they could go in and shock.
You have them losing to Tennessee and beating, or you have them beating Tennessee and losing to Miami.
Yes.
They're also losing to Auburn.
Dude, what?
I mean,
losing to Auburn, but beating Tennessee.
Chaos.
Apparently. Josh, you always bring some type of excitement to the show, and I don't know if I appreciate it, but I guess I do.
He's
It keeps it
Stephen A.
interesting,
Smith
that's for
of this
sure.
podcast.
You
He's
can
Stephen
say
A.
that.
Smith of this
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah, your takes or something else.
Hey,
we do
if
have
he's
Stephen
right,
A.
then he's a
Tambug in here too, so.
Man, I thought it was on Sunday, and then I got a text like 30 minutes before I even did this thing, so everything's been like off the top of my head.
Well, it was supposed to be Sunday, but a few people in here had some things going on, so.
Yeah, I didn't think we were going to do it, so everything's been off the top of my head. So next time, and I have everything actually typed out and everything, but I was just going through. I had my work phone out, just looking at the schedule and just coming off the top of my head.
When we do the Big Ten, you make sure I got plenty of tape days in advance so I can document, write down everything.
Hate that one. Yep.
We're gonna do that next.
Ohio State 9-3 on a good day.
Oh my gosh!
I won't be here for that podcast.
We'll save that for a rainy day. All right, we're gonna finish out. We got one more team. We can't forget about the Arkansas Razorbacks. I want Tanner to go first because it seems like he has a lot to say about them.
All right. So Arkansas, I think they're going to be pretty solid this year. Hold on. I'm trying to pull their schedule up. It ain't loading for me.
You good?
You need to record a soft drop.
So KJ Jefferson's coming back. Just for some background, KJ Jefferson's coming back for his final season. Kendall Briles is off to TCU as their offensive coordinator, so they lost their offensive coordinator. As Tanner was saying, Rocket Sanders is coming back. He was a 1,400-yard back in the SEC last year, so that's going to be a huge help. And then both play calling positions have been filled with new coaches. And the Razorbacks actually had a school record of 42 sacks last year. They gave up a lot of yards on defense, which is kind of the reason why they struggled a lot, and then injuries too. And they actually did a really good job in the portal, and they overhauled there. And I think they're going to look to go back to the top 25. But that's just some background on Arkansas. Tanner, if you got it pulled up, you can fire away.
All right. So I have them beating Western Carolina Catamounts. And then I have them beating Kent State. I have them beating BYU. I have them beating LSU. I mean, no. I have them losing LSU. My fault. I'm sorry. And the reason I say that, since joining the SEC, I don't think Arkansas has never opened its league slate against LSU or played it like as early as they are in the season. Normally, they played them later on in the season. And I do think that Tiger Stadium is going to be a hot mess for Arkansas. The game will I think it's going to be at night, which I think they're going to end up losing 35-24 to that game. I have them beating Texas A&M, like I said before. Ole Miss, I'm going to say they pull out this game. And the reason I say this is because I think this game is going to get a little weird. And the reason I say that, in Pittman's first year, pretty sure Matt Corral threw for about 6 interceptions. In the last meeting in Oxford, the Rebels won the shootout when Arkansas couldn't convert a 2-point play. I'm almost positive that's what's happened. My bad, y'all. I'm trying to go off the top of my head.
You good?
Last year, I'm pretty sure Razorback, they blew out Ole Miss in the first half and then weathered a furious comeback then that ultimately fell short. And I think I expect more of the same. I think KJ finally gets a win in his home state. And then they play Alabama. I have them losing there. And the reason I say that, until Nick Saban retires, I think it's going to be copy and paste every year when Arkansas plays Alabama. I think it's just going to be a copy and paste slate every year. I got Alabama winning 34-21. And then they play Mississippi State. I have them beat Mississippi State. And the reason I have them beat Mississippi State, I don't think Mississippi State has the caliber of a defense to be able to stop Rocket Sanders. They do too hard-nosed run of a running back. Mississippi State hasn't had the best defense. I mean, they had a pretty stout defense a few years ago, but I ain't seen anything too mesmerizing of them yet. I don't think they're going to have the power to stop the run game. And KJ Jefferson, he can make passes when he has to. So I have them winning that 26-17. Hold on. My bad. My bad. My dad came out here. My fault. And when they play Florida, I'm going to say Florida beats them. And the reason I say that, Arkansas will be coming off a bye week and they will travel to Gainesville. Because they've never won in the Swamp. And I think the only win the Razorbacks have ever enjoyed was in the regular season back in 2016. And I think at this point, Billy Napier, I think he's coaching for his job and he's going to make a statement. I'm going to go 33-28 Florida. And then versus Auburn, I have them beating Auburn. I don't think Freeze has ever won in Fayetteville when he coached before. I think he lost with Ole Miss whenever he was at Ole Miss. I think he lost both times whenever they played. And then FIU Panthers, I got them winning that game. And then whenever they play Missouri, I have them winning that game as well. I think Rocket Sanders is going to have a great year this year. I think he's going to rush for pride. I'm going to say he'll probably lose a little bit more yardage this year, but I think he's going to be used more as a goal line back because they got a pretty good backup coming in as their dual threat back. So I have going 8-4.
Yeah, I've got them going 8-4 as well. But I have their losses kind of all together against LSU, A&M, Ole Miss, and Alabama. Dean, do you have the same thing?
I have the exact same thing.
That's funny.
It seems unlikely, but I was like looking at their schedule. I was like, they're gonna lose like 4 straight in a row, like after a good start, and then they're gonna win out from there.
Yeah. And I'm in Provo right now, so like I feel like BYU might be more of a game if it was here, but it's not. It's it's in Arkansas, so I think they'll be fine in that game. But I think that game could be a potential loss, but I don't really see it. I think they're gonna have a pretty good year, but nothing. I think they could probably they'll probably be like in top 25, especially at like the beginning. After that, they beat BYU. They're probably getting there. But I feel like, all their hard games are kind of stuck together, which is unfortunate for them. So
I feel like they might be able to pick up one against A&M or Ole Miss.
yeah, I can see that.
I feel like those are the two games right in there that they could pick one up right before they play Alabama.
Yeah.
I have them beating A&M.
Okay.
I do.
And I can see that too. You have them 9-3, Josh?
I have them 7-5.
Good God.
I have them losing to LSU, losing to Ole Miss, losing to Alabama, losing to Mississippi State, and then losing to Auburn.
So
it's at Auburn, dude. It's
Auburn, dude.
I don't know why you think Auburn's gonna be good.
Is Auburn, Alabama, and LSU your double-digit wins? They all have double digits.
Do you have Auburn in the top 10, Josh?
When you say top 10, do we mean top 10 in the SEC?
No, top 10 in college football. You had them going 10-2. Answer the question.
Well, I didn't have them in my top 25.
Then how do you have them going 10-2?
It was preseason.
That's preseason. That's preseason.
Oh my gosh.
You had them in your top 10 preseason starting now. Answer the question.
Josh don't even know he's on his podcast. He's just hallucinating.
He's not answering it.
He's at top 12 in the SEC. My God, I ain't 11 teams.
I'm going to plead the fifth. I plead the fifth.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up for this podcast of the SEC West. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Our next podcast, we're going to start off with the mighty Big Ten East, the best division in football. So can't wait to talk about that one with everybody here. I can't wait to hear what Josh has to say. He probably got Ohio State going 6-6.
I agree with that one.
He's got Maryland going.
I'm not that crazy.
Hey, if he had a 9-3, I can get behind that.
Oh boy,
it's reasonable.
Can't win the big game. Lost to Michigan. Lost to Penn State. Lost to Notre Dame. Write it down in the book.
Let's not throw Notre Dame in there.
You better just wait till next week. You better just wait till next week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with us next week.
Thanks for watching.
Oh,
Tan Bug will be back next week. And see you guys later. Peace.
See ya.